Russia is big, and cold, and full of communist bears. But not yet. For a long time, Russia was ruled by the Grand Princes of Kiev, back when that was a title and not the name of a Russian nu metal band. The Mongols showed up to steal Russia's lunch money, and did that for a long time until they kicked the Mongols out, and everyone unanimously decided, under threat of death, that all the power should be consolidated in Moscow. This was the Ruvik dynasty, and they were pretty good at running the country, until they got to Ivan the Terrible. Fun fact, the surname, Terrible, actually means in awe, so he wasn't called Terrible because he was terrible. By sheer coincidence, he was also kind of terrible, crazy, and ended up killing a quarter Stalin's worth of people. Don't worry though, his son Dmitri is super cool, and will be a way better Tsar once he's finished in the city and he's dead. Okay, don't worry, he has another son, and this one is super cool, and is totally going to become Tsar, and Ivan killed him. And now Ivan's dead. Well, he has one last son, Theodore. Let's check on him. Oh. Theodore dies without having any kids, and now everyone has to play a game of musical chairs to decide who will be the next Tsar. Did you hear that? That was the Civil War bell. It's time for Civil War. The time of troubles got crazy, like fraternity crazy. We got not one, not two, actually two false Dimitris. And then they died. Eventually, people realized that this may not be working out, so they got together into the Zemensky Sobar and elected a guy named Michael Romanov as Tsar of Russia, and now the Romanovs are in charge. The Romanovs were pretty cool. A few of them were even great. Like this guy. His name was Peter. He's great. He realized that Russia was kind of old and terrible, so he made the promise to make Russia less old and terrible, and introduced shiny new Western concepts to Russia, like terrible dentistry, terrible medicine, and surprisingly not terrible shipbuilding. He even bullied Sweden into not existing anymore. His son wasn't as great, though. He was a hipster who didn't like the West, so he got tortured and kicked out. Then Peter died. Peter was replaced by his wife, and then by Peter II. He was just like Peter the Great, if Peter the Great was terrible and threw spitballs in church. You think I'm joking, don't you? Peter II died naturally of obvious assassination and was replaced by the second great Romanov. Her name was Catherine. She was great. Not only that, she was enlightened. Quick side note, the Enlightenment was an intellectual movement that caused people to think, you know what, maybe we shouldn't be jerks to each other. Catherine helped the arts, created universal law, and also didn't free the serfs. Don't worry, it's like they always say, the longer a wound festers, the better it's going to be. Uh-oh, Catherine's dead. Who's up next? Oh, it's Paul. Hi, Paul. You better not hold Russia back because you hate your mom and like your idiot father. Psst, you can't tell me what to do. Nothing personal, kid. And then he ruined the country. Hey, you're back. Cool. So Paul died, and now it's Alexander I's turn. Alexander I is the first in the long line of Alexanders who are actually really good at ruling Russia. He knows that Russia needs to update, but he doesn't want to go too fast because Windows 10 confuses him. Also, remember the serfs? Yeah, they're still serfs. No change there.
In the arms of the angel, fly away from here.
Ring ring, who's that? Oh, it's France. Some serious stuff has been going down over there, and the revolution screwed up so badly that everyone hated the Enlightenment for a while. Thanks, France. The call is from the current leader of France, Napoleon. Oui, I'm Napoleon. You better not sell things to Britain. Okay. JK, we're selling things to Britain. You want to go, bro? Bring it, bro. Did you hear that? That's the Napoleonic War bell. It's time for the Napoleonic Wars. Napoleon invades Russia in the winter, and wins so hard and so fast that he loses and returns to France with less than half of his army. Alexander is still pumped, though, so he leads the other European powers into getting rid of Napoleon. Thus begins the apogee of the empire, when Russia was super cool, and then Alexander I died of malaria. It's okay, though. He has a brother, but he abdicated the throne to marry some chick. So the line of succession now goes to Nicholas I, who is the first in a long line of Nicholases who are really bad at ruling Russia. Nicholas I looks at all the progress Russia has made and decides that things are going too well for the country, so he locks down the country, meaning Russia doesn't get those sick railroads and telegraphs. Russia is so behind the times that they lose the Crimean War. In fact, they lose so hard that Nicholas dies, and Alexander II becomes the new Tsar of Russia. Alexander II continues the line of Alexanders who are good at ruling Russia. He frees the serfs, poorly. He redoes taxes, poorly, he's ultimately on the path to making Russia more democratic, until he's killed by a group of people who want Russia to be more democratic, on the day he was going to create a group that could have made Russia more democratic. Whoops. His son Alexander III basically throws out all that democracy stuff because, come on, who needs it? Then he dies, and Nicholas II ends the long line of Nicholases who are really bad at ruling Russia. Nicholas is a good guy who likes playing tennis so much he really couldn't give a crap about running the country. There are famines all over the place, and people are trampling each other at his coronation in order to get to food. His wife is also friends with this crazy guy named Rasputin, whose life and death inspires Bonnie M's one good song. Things aren't looking good for the Romanovs, especially after Nicholas kills so many people on Sunday that they call it Bloody Sunday. Things should be okay though, as long as Russia doesn't get dragged into the worst war of human history. Did you hear that? That's the World War I bell. It's time for World War I! Russia helps fight the Central Powers. Yay! It also ruins Russia. Oh. And it's all Nicholas's fault. Oh. Because Nicholas was so bad at his job, a bunch of people started getting into this hip new economic system called Marxism or socialism or whatever. Finally, they rebel in February and overthrow the Tsar, and then kill him and his family for really no reason. And so Russia becomes a lovely dreamland and everything is cool forever. Sorry, that was a lie. It turned out everything was still terrible. So another revolution happens in October, and the provisional government is overthrown. Vladimir Lenin takes control and installed the Bolshevik government. But there was a problem. Marxism was all about equality, and Lenin wanted to be more equal than everyone else. He also wanted Lenin's friends to be more equal than everyone else. So he creates his own version called war communism, which is basically the same thing, but if you disagree with Lenin, you get shot or sent to a gulag. That works. For 4 years. And then it doesn't. So Lenin creates a new version called N.E.P, which is basically the same thing, but if you disagree with Lenin, you get shot or sent to a gulag. But now you can open a mom and pop shop, so it balances out. It's okay though, because after a short time of 7 years, Lenin is dead. That's the good news. The bad news is that he's been replaced by Stalin, who proceeded to kill at least 3 Ivans worth of people. But hey, at least he had a good mustache. Did you hear that? That's the World War II bell. It's time for World War II! Stalin remembers that getting involved in the last World War didn't end well for the government, so he makes a pinky promise with Adolf Hitler to not fight each other. It goes well, until they realize that Germany's goal of conquering the world and Russia's goal of conquering the world are completely incompatible. Germany cuts off its finger and invades Russia in the winter. They say hi to all of Napoleon's dead soldiers and get horribly murdered by Russia. Russia then joins the Allies and together they defeat Nazi Germany, thus ensuring a long, friendly relationship with the United States. Not. It's time for the Cold War. For the next 9 presidents and 3 premiers, the US and Russia will have a spitting contest, where America forgets about civil liberties and Russia forgets to win the space race and make sure their nuclear plants don't blow up. Reagan shows up, and now Russia is broke. Again, they decide on perestroika, which roughly translates to, I can't believe it's not communism. It works so well that the Soviet Union collapses. Eventually, though, Russia gets its act together, and it's mostly cool now. Unless you're a journalist or gay. Bye.